What's up, you guys? Slim here, Team Symmetry, here to do my next episode of Slim Chat. I know that I've been doing a lot of Slim Chats recently. The reason being is there's been a lot going on in the game, as well as a lot of different topics that I've covered in my last couple of videos. If you guys saw, my last video that I uploaded last night was an episode talking about the true appreciation of the subscribers. So I hope you guys really enjoyed that video. Instead of doing a weekly wrap-up, I'm not going to do a weekly wrap-up anymore. I'm just going to link videos in my annotations to what videos I put out throughout the week, and you can just go, click there and check them out if you haven't seen them yet. But I'm here today to go back more into the game aspect of these chat episodes, and this one's going to be on reprints. I've been waiting for several months actually to do a video about reprints. I thought I was going to do it as soon as Effect Veiler was reprinted and a lot of other cards were reprinted, but I thought if I give it time, I know that more reprints will come out, and I'll be able to do a lot more, I guess, like analysis of why they came out and how good or how bad it is for the game. And a lot of people wanted my opinion on the matter. And the thing is people would look at me as a player that gets usually the original stuff when it comes out: Pot of Duality, Solemn Warnings, Tour Guides, all these different cards I have the original copies of, and people would probably think, Slim's against these reprints. That's actually not true. I'm actually all for the reprints. I've mentioned it a couple times in other videos about how with cards getting reprinted it makes the game more fair, and it's reasons like that that I am big on reprints. So I'm here to talk about some of the main ones, a lot of the new ones that everyone's been talking about that are coming out. But reprints have been around for a long time. Reprints have been around since the game started, and I think like the most relevant reprints, I guess, right now of this format were when they reprinted a tour guide from the Underworld. Obviously, this was the biggest one. This was the one everyone wanted. This was going to change the game forever, for the fact that everybody would have access to tour guide. Tour guide used to be $150, $200 a piece, which means you had to shell out a minimum of $400 and something just to get a set of tour guides. That's insane, because that wasn't even accounting for the Exceed you had to pick up as well for your extra deck. So cards like Tour Guide, when they got reprinted, everyone and their mom literally bought cases and boxes and whatnot to get these cards, and some were very fortunate in pulling multiple tour guides. A lot of people were not. Some people would buy box after box and never pull a tour guide, and that really was depressing, and it made people think, maybe I should just wait and just buy them individually. And that was another option, was that with these reprints, when they come out, they're going to be a lot cheaper than their predecessors, than the originals. Cards that really shape the format, that now that they're finally reprinted, are very easy to pick up, are Fiendish Chain and Forbidden Lance, two of the best cards of the game, two of the cards that really shape the middle of the format and have slightly gone down in play, especially Fiendish Chain has gone down in play towards the end of the format, but it's still just a really good card, and I think it's a card you should hold on to for next format. I feel that Fiendish Chain is still going to be effective. Inzectors were its biggest target, and it did really well. If you ran Veilers and Fiendish Chains, you pretty much won that game most of the time, because you had multiple outs to their monsters, and it was great. Forbidden Lance, I've always talked about this card saying it was the card of the format. I still believe it. I feel that Forbidden Lance has really shaped the format in a sense that it's another version of MST, and it's just a very aggressive card. You can use this card to win games, you can use this card to turn games around in your favor, and you can use this card to really just utilize everything that your deck has to offer if you know how to use it. Cards like that really benefited the player, because people who could not go and shell out money for these cards. These three cards that I've just shown you, Tour Guides were $150 minimum, Fiendish Chains were $25, $30, Forbidden Lances were like $15, $20, are now just very easy cards to pick up. Everybody will have them. And people might wonder, why am I so for the reprints? I've always believed that the best game you'll play is against someone on your own level, which means they'll have the same cards. I've always said, I'm glad to have tour guides. I'm happy to have tour guides. I can run any deck with tour guides, but I want to play against tour guide too, because you're going to see who plays the card better, and if you know how to play against it. If you know how to play against one of the best cards in the game, then you're getting better as a player overall. And I feel that going against tour guide with tour guide is fine. Is yours going to get Veilered? Yes. Is mine going to get Veilered? Yes. And you just have to really outplay your opponent with those cards. I feel that that was kind of the whole point, is that let tour guide be reprinted, let everyone play tour guide, and just see who plays it better. when they reprinted Effect Veiler. Now, Effect Veiler used to just be an Ultra and an Ultimate. No one cared about it until they realized how good it was. The card really shot up in value and was really hard to come across. Now everyone has Veilers. Triple Veiler has become a staple in decks like Dino Rabbit and Wind Up and other decks, and Chaos Dragon. It's just a really good card in general. I'm glad they reprinted Veiler. I'm glad people have access to Veiler. Veiler's a very useful card, and no player should be denied access to a useful card. That's something that I've always believed. I don't care the caliber of the player, as long as they have access to everything. They may not be perfect with the cards, but over time they will learn. Other cards that really made a difference being reprinted, of course, TK Ryo, which is now dirt cheap. It's a common, it's an ultimate, it's the gold I've shown you. It's the original was like impossible to get unless you had access to that magazine or you ordered them online. A very expensive card, and it's good to see that people still have Thunder King, even though it isn't really that relevant right now. Other cards, I think probably one of the biggest reprints, in my opinion as a player, having played for years, was when Lila was reprinted as a common, because this Ultra was damn near impossible to find. After Lightsworns kind of bid adieu for a while from the game, you could never really find Lilas, or at least find them cheap. So eventually being able to just get common Lilas really gave Chaos Dragons that extra oomph to just take off and really dominate the format. If you guys remember, even before all those reprints, the biggest reprint of all time, Pot of Duality. The most sought after card last year. If you guys remember, this was the most sought after card. This card ranged in value 120, 130, all the way up to 150 bucks. It might have even reached almost 200. And it was nothing but a simple 1-for-1. This is really a 1-for-1 if you think about it, because you duality for 3 cards, you pick one, you get 1 card for 1 card, so it was a 1-for-1. But it was one of the best cards in the game because it gave you options. You were paying for options. And now this card's been reprinted. A lot of decks are running it. A lot of decks are not. I never thought I'd get to a point where I'd be running decks where I wouldn't even be running Pot of Duality. Having ran Chaos Dragons, having ran Dino Rabbit, having ran just all kind of decks, I haven't used Pot of Duality in a really long time. So it's good to have this card. And what was even better is when they decided to release Warning. Warning was one of the most sought after cards, period. This card was broken. You guys remember it. It was ridiculous. At one point it was like $70 or $90 a piece, and then it gets reprinted and then everyone was able to get them. And now every deck has Duality and Warning. You go into a match expecting to get Solemn Warning or your opponent's going to activate a Pot of Duality. You go in there knowing that. It used to be where if you had that, you were shocked. Oh my god, my opponent has these cards. I'll never forget, I was playing a game and I was running, when I was running my Gravekeepers, one of the regionals I topped. I remember I played a guy and I went first turn Pot of Duality. He's like, oh wow, this guy's a high roller. He's got Pot of Dualities. And I was like, I'm like, yeah. And then he was like, yeah. He's like, well, we all can't afford that card. And it was kind of funny. I was like, oh, okay. And I just went on to Duality for my Spy, of course. So it was cool, but I feel that reprints are just really good. There's 2 aspects to reprints. Reprints mean that a lot of the expensive cards that people shot out money for and just couldn't get are now accessible. Everyone has access to them. Does that mean that you should feel bad if you spent money on the originals? Absolutely not. Granted, you probably took a loss. You probably took a loss in the long run. Like my tour guides are probably not worth what I paid back in the day. But I still prefer the originals, and that's just my personal thing. As a veteran player that's been around for years, I like original cards. I love original tour guides. I love original warnings, original dualities, even though I don't even really have them anymore. I use them in other decks, and I really just appreciate original cards. Do I have anything against reprints? Absolutely not. I think Super Veiler is awesome. I prefer Super Veiler. I use Super Veiler in everything over the Ultimates. I got rid of my set of Ultimates. I got rid of my Ultras. I've gotten rid of a lot of stuff, and I like super rares. So I put super rare Veilers in decks that need Veiler over the Ultra and Ultimate and the rare. Other cards that over time have been reprinted, this one isn't as relevant anymore, but when Gold Sark was reprinted, this is for a lot of the veteran players who've been around as long as I have. Everyone remembers when the first version of Gold Sark came out, it was a SJC card. You had to win it. It was like a $1,600, $2,000 card. That wasn't going to happen for all of us. We were not fortunate enough to all be SGC winners. This card then got reprinted in the Gold series, and it came out as a gold card. It was extremely hard to pull. It was one of the hardest cards to pull. You could buy box after box and never pull it, and then if you pulled it, you were awesome. And you could only use one, and then it got reprinted as a super in Duelist Revolution. So Duelist Revolution released Pot of Duality and also gave you reprinted Gold Sarcophagus, so that was pretty cool. People back then loved Gold Sark because we were in a format where Sarking for a key card was amazing. Sark for Gores, Sark for like dark hole for power cards and you were in a winning position. It was a great thing. A lot of decks came to utilize this. Fishwood Gold Sark for Qualicamp. Other decks have learned to use it, like Final Countdown. A lot of other decks have used this card. People are even using this in Dragons. I've heard about people Gold Sarking for Future Fusion if they don't get it turn 1, setting up their plays for 2 turns and then winning with Future Fusion. So it's just a really good card in general. And I feel that reprints have just really kind of shaped this game in a positive sense. There's very little positive things Konami does, but when they do reprint, they reprint well. And on to the new stuff that's coming out. So everyone's talking about it. Slim's not going to talk about it. I don't do product reviews. I don't believe in them. I feel that by the time I make the video, get it into my computer, and start trying to edit and shit, someone's already got their video out. What's the honest point? But I'm just going to give my honest opinion. These guys are coming out, Laggy and Dolka, the reprints. Absolutely nothing against it. Make Dino Rabbit cheaper to get. It's a great deck. Whether you want to believe it or not, pick up the deck cheap, learn to play it, enjoy it for however many months we have left till the ban list. I have a feeling that the deck's going to be hit in one way or another. Other good reprints I really like. I like Wind Up Rabbit. I think that's an amazing call. I think Wind Up Rabbit's a great card. Outside of Wind Ups, as Wilson showed everyone, it can be used in Beast decks. It's just a really good card in general. So I'm really happy that that's coming out. I'm glad that Zen Mains is coming out. I feel that everyone that runs tour guides, now the tour guide's been reprinted, should definitely have access to Zen Mains. Cards like... What are the other cards that are coming out? Scrap Dragon, that's amazing. Scrap Dragon really... I was really happy to hear that, because Scrap Dragon is one of the hardest synchros to get. Like, even back in the day, it was hard to get because no one had it, and people who had it were not parting with it. So it's good to see that Scrap Dragon's getting reprinted, and that a lot of these other cards are getting reprinted. We're getting new monsters coming out, the Excalibur, we're getting that whole Legendary Collection 3 that's coming out, that's going to be releasing Seal of Orichalcos and all of these crazy cards. And I don't really know how to feel about those yet. I feel that any new reprint that old cards can get is awesome. Secret Rare, Mirror Force, Ultra Rare, Recruiters, Spies, all that's awesome in my opinion. Reprints are awesome, and I think that it's just good that they're healthy for the game. They keep the game on par with the OCG, because the OCG, in a sense, is better because they have all very cheap stuff. They have cheap Pot of Dualities, cheap Warnings, cheap everything. They don't have the tour guides like we do, but they do have a lot of other cards, and that's what makes their tourneys a lot more balanced. You're going into a tourney where oh, my opponent's got these cards, I've got these cards, and I think that that's how it should be. You should go into a tourney and expect every opponent you play for 9 or 10 rounds to have tour guide. You should expect them all to have Effect Veil. You should all expect them to have Warnings, Dualities, whatever it is the deck calls for, and that's healthy for the game. It's healthy because we need a balanced game, and we're never going to get that. We're never going to get that from Konami. We're never going to get a game that is balanced and that really is fair, but the only thing that they're doing that I think is right is reprinting cards so that everyone has access to them. They may be broken, but if they're going to be broken, we might as well all be broken. So I feel that is what is good about the reprints, and I am all for them. The only thing I will say that's bad about reprints is that noobs and bad players will always be noobs and bad players. That's something that I've come to realize. And to be honest, bad players will always play cards wrong. I've seen people get sets of tour guides and misplay them, and I think to myself, how can you misplay a tour guide? How can you misplay an Effect Veiler? How can you misplay this and that? And I mean, it happens. If you're a bad player, you're a bad player. If you're a noob, you're a noob. It's going to happen. It's unavoidable. And the only bad thing I see about these reprints is that the players that I feel do not deserve the cards are using them and thinking they're literally the shit for using them, but then losing to someone who knows how to utilize the card. So I feel in the end it kind of balances out. That's the only bad thing I have to say about reprints, is that bad players get a hold of them, but I mean, whatever. A good player will always beat a bad player any day of the week, so I feel that in the end it's fine. The only other thing I will say is that I feel some other cards should have been reprinted. Everyone's going to agree with me. This should have been reprinted. It's not going to be. I don't know when it will be reprinted, if it will ever be reprinted. This card and Infernity Barrier are 2 cards I feel that should be reprinted. Max C more than ever, because now with windups being the rage, you really need your outs. You need Max C. You need Max C against a lot of matchups, and I feel that without access to Max C, it kind of sucks, but, what are you going to do? But I'm all for these reprints. I'm glad that Konami's releasing more reprints. I feel that it's just going to be healthy for the game, and that people who have the original copies don't feel bad. You have original copies. I'd be happy. I have original Dolkas, original Lagias, original tour guides, original this and that. I'm happy. Am I disappointed they're reprinting stuff? Absolutely not. I'm glad they reprinted cards like Fiendish Chain. I'm glad they reprinted Forbidden Lance. They reprinted Chalice. They reprinted cards that everybody needs. If we're going to have a balanced game, then everybody should have access to everything, and that will truly test the skill level of the players who have those cards. So that's pretty much much all I got to say, you guys. I'm all for the reprints. You know, thumbs up if you are too. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. This was just more to get more onto the game aspect of these episodes. I'm glad you guys enjoyed them. You know, 100+ likes would be amazing. Just let me know like what you guys want to see next on the Slim Chat episodes. Everyone's telling me to bring back my old segment, Ask Slim. I'm thinking about it. I haven't decided yet. If I do, I'll release a video about it probably next week. And we'll just see what goes on from there. But, you know, thumbs up the video. Let me know what you guys think. Are you happy about these reprints? Or do you think other cards should have been reprinted along with the ones that are? Do you agree Max C should have been reprinted? Of course you do. Do you think that... Is there anyone that doesn't like these reprints? Do you think these reprints are a bad call? I don't see who would, but maybe I'm wrong. But I'm all for them, and I hope you guys are too. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. You know, thumbs it up, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Next video will either be a Tech for Thought or a psychology video or something. I'll figure out something. I'm also going to start doing a lot more locals coverage, like deck profiles and matches, so definitely stay tuned to that. And I just have a million more videos coming out. So I hope you guys like the video, and thank you for watching.